Okay. Oh, what's up, Guillotine? What's up, bud? How's it going? Peter Gambell, how are you? A.M. Bergeron, you're ugly. How are you guys doing? Chapter covers. Yeah, I was actually surprised by that. I didn't think it was gonna be in this style. I don't know what this kind of art style is called, or I don't know if it would be like the type of brush. But I always really liked it when Mishima did ones like this. I was pretty happy with seeing a way to set this one up. I was just wondering about his placement though, because he has Eleftheria behind Natsu, obviously, but I'm wondering if that's maybe gonna be like a dragon god thing, because maybe end up becoming like more dragon gods, because Eleftheria is clearly near that area already. Like Dogrima was like the weakest, but he was still like baseline dragon god level, and then Natsu, I think is logically next up to achieve dragon god level by the time the story's over. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm pretty happy about this chapter. I like that we're seeing some setup for some fights. There's a moment in the chapter I actually have a lot of curiosity about. I haven't looked into the direct translation of the scene, but it's when Urza's talking to Celine. I really want to know like what it is that goes on between them specifically. So once the chapter comes out, there's a lot I want to talk about just potentially in this, as well as I'm going to do a video on the fights, like who do I think is fighting who, or maybe I'll just mention it in the video in the actual review. We'll see. Like the first one up, I wasn't expecting it all. I didn't think that Haku versus Natsu was going to be the first match we were going to see, and then this is just going to make me wonder, what does Haku do? Is he like kind of like a Gremmy? Is he like manipulating reality or something? How does his magic work? What kind of weird dragon is he? Yeah, I'm good. Can you guys not hear me? Uh, oh, the music's still not going. Let me see if I can fix that really quick. It wasn't working going through my Streamlabs last time I used it, so 1 second. I don't know why it's been doing this. I gotta maybe look into it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's working. I guess I'll just talk. I don't really know what else to do. Yeah, either way, Elazar versus one of the Dragon Eaters. I mean, Elazar should be able to, I would imagine, beat any of them that aren't the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. I assume he would beat, Kyria, Mad Mole, Scolion, all of those. Scolion's like the maybe, because like I can't really tell where Scolion is strength wise. Whereas you've seen like Nibaru, we've seen Wraith, we've seen Kyria, Mad Mole to like a degree, but we haven't really seen Scolion. I feel like Scolion is like that guy who's in between of those tiers in their guild. Is my stream working? Hang on. Okay, it is. It was having an issue with me for a second. Haku is like Daemon from Boruto, just like both just kids with hacks. I mean, he's gonna have physical strength though, because he's a Dragon Slayer. He should still have Dragon Slayer like physical attack capabilities and durability, and then raw destructive power. Because that's one of the things about Dragon Slaying magic is that at its root, it's like a raw destruction magic. When you become a Dragon Slayer, you are a combat wizard in the most physical way possible. The difference is every Dragon Slayer attribute has some form of perk to it They all have their own kind of special thing. So whatever this kid's is, apparently he can turn stuff into toys or something. I don't necessarily get the Haku and Natsu matchup. Yeah, it's a weird matchup. I didn't see that at all. I figured everyone was like on board with like the idea that he was gonna be like Wendy's opponent. I don't really know. It's gonna really depend on what Mishima does with this art, because I don't imagine a lot of them are gonna be trying, like, at least the fairy tale side. I don't imagine a lot of them are gonna be trying to kill their opponents. So it's like, if you knock somebody out, are they out of this game? Because it is a game by Celine, so probably maybe that's what Celine's gonna do. It's just like characters will lose and then get knocked out. So like whoever is the winner will still be in it, and then another character will fight them. Because I like, for some of them, I only really see Lucy going up against Kyria. I don't really see anybody else amongst the Dragon Eaters in Diabolos that Lucy could fight. Because if it was Nibaru, sure, I'd say Nibaru. I think she could probably beat him. But other than him, it's like Kyria, and I don't really see anybody else. Madmol, maybe. I think she could maybe just kind of like ability defeat Madmol, but I mean, Madmol is just like raw brute force, so probably topple Lucy. I would really want to know who would win between Madmol and Mimi, but yeah, that's all I can really see. Like, unless Mishima wants to make Lucy really powerful this arc, because I still have my theory that Lucy's going to be a key piece in defeating Celine. Like, that whole theory isn't going anywhere. I think that if Lucy's going to be, like, have a big role this arc, it would have to be in the fact that obviously Celine is the top tier spatial magic user in the entire series. Like, she absolutely has the most spatial abilities. Well, the highest tier spatial abilities, rather. Morris has a lot of potential. I am hyped for Morris. I like Morris. I like Morris's character, and I definitely am hoping that Tabata keeps him relevant and actually kind of keeps him going. I don't want him to be like a bad guy for like 5 minutes and then disappear, you know? I'm really hoping he sticks around. But we'll see, whatever Tabata has planned. If he gets rid of Morris, I'm going to be pretty bummed out. I really wish I could figure out why my music isn't going through Streamlabs. But it is what it is. Haku has a weird dragon saying magical. Well, we don't know exactly what it is. Once we get the attribute and we get a little bit of explanation behind it, I'm hoping next chapter, we'll be able to kind of gauge more about what it does. Because, like, I don't really know what this could be unless it's like some form of weird reality warper and he's like a kid Grammy or something. What's up, Gravity Dragon? How's it going? Lucy versus Saber. I don't really know anything about Fate, like the Fate series. Wendy isn't winning any battle of the arena. I think Wendy could be able to take Nibaru and win this time. Dragon Force is still like the kind of question mark for her, but in like an actual fight. And then Kyria, I can see Wendy defeating her, considering everybody that went to Ellen tier got a transcendent magic boost. And on top of that, Wendy got a lot stronger as an enchanter. I think Kyria, though she was strong, we know that Kyria won her fight against Urza in the first round because of hypnosis hacks. Whereas Urza in an actual fight would dominate her. Urza Sirius in a fight would dominate her because she got low diffed by Laxus while Urza almost beat Laxus. I can honestly I really very much rather think that it's gonna be, if anything, 1v1 for those two. It would be Lucy versus Kyria and Wendy versus Madmol, because then that makes way for Gray to fight Scullion again. And there's just gonna be more questions along the later line. Taku is apparently now fighting Natsu. Whatever Gajil and I don't know what who Gajil's gonna fight. Maybe that Kirin guy. I think that would maybe be a badass matchup between those two bodies. Suzaku, I think either it's gonna go to Natsu or Ursa. I feel like that's inevitable. And then Misaki, I feel like Misaki's gonna go to Urza though. Like, Urza could go to Misaki or Suzaku pretty handily, I feel. But the fact that Natsu was the first one to meet Suzaku, I feel like Suzaku is more of an opponent for Natsu. And it would give Natsu an extended fight against the guy with the sword, so we could see that in action. I think that would be a really good fight. There's gonna be a lot of general kind of like layup questions that I'm gonna have for Mishima when this kind of fight starts actually laying out and we start getting to the later portions of understanding what these guys do. Because we haven't even gotten what Haku's attribute is. We don't know what any of the other 3 Black Dragon Slayer Knights attribute is. And a Dragon Slayer's attribute is like a huge aspect in fighting them. I have a feeling Fairy Tail is going to lose until Irene Power, Plot Armor. I don't know about that one. Natsu should absolutely be able to 1v1 one of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights as long as he fights seriously. He only got crushed by Suzaku because he went in base form. He absolutely, I think, can win. With Laxus and Gajil, both of them are already pretty powerful, but neither of them have true Dragon Force. I feel like if Mishima wants to give them Dragon Force in this arc, it has. If Mishima wants to give them Dragon Force, I feel like it has to be in this arc. This is a fight between Dragon Slayers, and they should both have actual Dragon Force already. Like Laxus, I feel like Laxus should be able to get it fairly easy, whereas Gajil, I feel like Gajil should be able to get a really good fight where he unlocks true Dragon Force, being able to activate it on his own, and be able to overcome the Black Dragon Slayer. Because here's the thing, the Fairy Tail members aren't. I don't think any of them are gonna kill their opponents. The Diabolos people are opponents. They're not evil. They're not like murderers and psychos. They're for the most part seemingly pretty normal people. Like we've already been established the fact that the only reason Diabolos had an issue with Fairy Tail is because they thought Fairy Tail was messing with them. And if Fairy Tail is able to beat them without them using Dragon Force, because we know Dragon Force isn't something that 5th Gen can just use as easily as any of the other generations, because they just lose control, defeat them, and so they can still fight later, and then they all could team up against Selene. Because obviously Selene is the big boss they're eventually going to all have to overcome, but it's really going to depend on what Mishima does. I can really only see the one that might kill somebody be Gajil, but I don't really know. He hasn't, like, Mishima, except for Wraith, but Wraith was already dead. Mishima has set it up that Diabolos aren't actually the bad guys. They're not evil. They don't kill each, like, he hasn't killed off any of them, but Mishima usually kills off the bad guys when he's done with them. He's done it consistently. So I feel like he's going to keep them around. So it's really going to depend on how the fights are set up. But with Natsu and Gajil, could really have a strong opportunity to get like a bigger fight. Whereas like Urza is gonna be like a hard aspect because she's already like say as strong as almost as strong as Laxus, but she doesn't have anything like dragon slaying magic to kind of like to advance her in a way that like Dragon Force kind of just is like a breakthrough power up that if you can achieve it, it will drastically improve your stats immensely. That's the kind of problem with Urza has in all this, because I think logically after Elentier, you can have Grey vs. Scullion again, and then have Urza or Wendy and Lucy fight either Madmore or Kyria, and then pair up each Natsu, Gajil, Laxus against one of each of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights, just in theory. And then Urza, I think, is the hardest one. I think Urza just right now has a really hard kind of like set with her abilities, because she can get stronger, but she doesn't have anything that could potentially cover the gap enough for her to fight one of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. It's a weird setup right now. I really want to see what Mishima does though, because clearly he's got this planned out, and it's like a set kind of like pair up match style fighting event. So just a matter of time. What's up, Lovely Leech? How are you? Man, it's a long time. How long has it been since you showed up to the stream? I'd rather see Urza versus Suzaku. See, the problem is Natsu lost to Suzaku in base. Urza was already in clear hard armor, and she obviously was just in a fight that took some power out of her. But I don't think that I don't really see casual Suzaku being able to overcome like kind of like a mildly tired clear hard armor Urza is really gonna matter, because the gap between base Natsu, kind of fine, to Dragon Force Natsu is way bigger than a tired Clear Heart armor to a full energy Clear Heart armor Urza. Urza's like, again, Urza's a really weird spot right now, and it's gonna. I really want to see what Mishima does. Like, there has to be something he has planned with Urza. Because God Shield and Lax is easy. Give him Dragon Force. Set up how they get Dragon Force in the story. Asta versus Noelle versus I mean, Asta Devil Union should beat them both pretty easily. Everyone fights while Celine watches. Yeah, Celine's been really cool. I like how she was in this chapter. She's like a dungeon master. She's moving people around all she wants. Would you say with certainty Suzaku, with certainty that Urza is considered strong in Suzaku? No, she's not. She's definitely not. And I mean, I just went over a whole part of why Urza's kind of like in a problem right here, and it's gonna really depend on what Mishima does. But Urza is not strong in Suzaku. Laxus versus Kirin. I would like that. It's gonna depend on what he does though. Laxus versus Kirin, or Laxus maybe versus Misaki. That would be pretty cool. Maybe Laxus versus Suzaku. I thought about this earlier. The idea of if Mishima does Laxus versus Suzaku, I think that'll be such a crazy fight. Like, what if he has Laxus versus Suzaku? Suzaku wins, and then Natsu fights Suzaku. Because Natsu's the main character, and I feel like Natsu getting his only fight right now would be kind of weird. Unless his next fight is against Celine after Haku. What if he did that? He kind of like, he had some big fight with Laxus, and then Laxus loses. There's like a time for Suzaku to recover. Because Suzaku has the most story right now. He has the most potential story because he already has a backstory. He already has kind of stakes going into this with how he clearly regrets what happened to his master with Georg. Kirin is he's the yellow dragon in the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. Godzilla doesn't have Dragon Force. He achieved Dragon Force by eating the devil particles. He ate the iron in it, and it let him achieve Dragon Force like how Natsu achieved it in Part 1, and how Wendy achieved it in Tartaros. It's not the same thing. Natsu can use it at will. And Godzill's not a second gen, and he doesn't have a Lacrima because he's not second or third gen, where he can activate the weaker version of Dragon Force that Sting and Rogue had. Also, real quick, just because we're at a good chunk in, what's this, like almost 20 minutes? I'd really appreciate if you guys would thumbs up the stream. If you're in here, just one thumbs up, maybe a befriend, like button, subscribe button, and if you want to throw $1 my way, I try to make my streams more about kind of just like a nice conversation. If you feel like I've earned any form of tip, I'd appreciate it. It's not required though; you don't have to. Anyway, I got to do a shill every once in a while. It's part of my contract with the YouTubes. But anyway. Yeah, Urza's not strong on Suzaku. That's obvious. Do you think it's possible to be a draw? Maybe. I mean, it's gonna depend. Because like, whatever their attributes is going to be a big variable, and all 5th gen attributes have been weird and wild cards. So I have no idea what these guys are really going to be right now. We just saw Haku turn somebody into a toy. Like, it's gonna be very strange. My guess is like, I'm hoping so bad that with Kirin, he's a radiation dragon slayer. I know my chances are slim, but it's like the dragon slayer I've wanted for so long. Just make him Godzilla, it'd be sweet. Zaku beats Celine's human from Earth. Yeah, Urza can't do that. Not even close. I haven't seen any growth in power as it comes to Urza. She'll only get new re-equip. I mean, she definitely got stronger. Like, we saw her fight Laxus. And on top of that, she had new weapons and an Elentier. So the thing about her Elentier fight you have to keep in mind with Yoko is the armor she used to defeat Yoko isn't meant for combat. It's an ornamental armor. The way that it runs would be like how the magic cars run. You're just pumping magic into it to make it do stuff. So Urza essentially just demonstrated having a lot of raw magic amount. That's why she didn't use any special powers in the fight. It was literally just 6 swords. Let's see, Haku's white tiger dragon can turn people into toys. Yeah, it's gonna depend when he like. Is he like? Is the like the fluffiness supposed to be like cotton or something? And so he could like, is he a cotton dragon slayer? And that's why he can turn someone into toys. I don't know. His whole attribute is weird. Like he has a weird showing. We don't like we haven't even seen what it looks like when his dragon magic is on his like hands and stuff. So we don't even know what his magic looks like. There's not even an indication. The literal only thing we have is turning somebody into a toy. As far as Lucy being able to summon celestial spirits without keys, yeah, Lucy got by far the most upgrades too. Because really, when you think about it, who are the characters that got the upgrades in Elentier? Lucy and Wendy. They're the ones that benefited the most. Wendy got a bunch of enchants and learned how to enchant magic on a higher scale, and then Lucy gained all her new abilities with her keys. That's why you had like the you had like the Mimi fight, and you had the like the Wendy being like the star of the whole Alta face encounter. I don't know. I think Haku's gonna clap nod. So I think he's definitely gonna have a better, like he's gonna. I think Haku's gonna dominate the start of the fight because I think Natsu's gonna underestimate him. But Haku isn't like Susaku where he's gonna immediately go for like a kill shot. I'm guessing. So it'll be like him just overpowering Natsu for a bit. I'm happy that we're gonna get to see a Natsu fight first, though. Honestly, because we haven't had like a good Natsu fight really since the Alderaan match. Because he didn't get a match in Elentier. He just fought some random stuff. He's the only one that didn't get like an actual fight. And I understand, like at the time, like the Alderaan fight was amazing. So him getting a backseat a little bit was fine. But he is the main character. So I am very excited to see my main character in action in the next chapter and see how he goes about it. I'm really hoping that he can take Haku seriously enough to fight him. Yeah, Shura is done. Unfortunately for you, Nev, Shura is done. It's been a few months. I've been busy. Well, I hope you're doing well though. I wasn't too sure if I should stream today, but I'm glad you did stream. Hey, Rax, in chat, where does the music in Rex's video come from? This music or the other videos? What do you mean? Like my general videos? Clear Heart's getting kind of bored. I mean, she doesn't use Clear Heart all the time. The thing about her Clear Heart armor is she only uses it in fights where she's outclassed in attack power and speed. Urza is a counter armor fighter. She wears what she needs to in order to overtake aspects of her opponent. It's just the same way she would go into like an elemental armor against somebody who she has an elemental armor against, or her Nakagami armor against just a hacks caster. She keeps getting put in fights where she has to use physical strength and speed. That's why she's using it. I would agree. I would like to see her use some of her other armors. She does use it a lot, but it's just kind of like it's just a really good magic armor that's useful in a lot of scenarios, even though it's technically not an armor. It's like her Tenrin armor. It's one of those ones that's just always useful by the nature of its abilities. It's always going to have a battle prowess use. Quan has read 600. Yeah, I was actually mad at Quan for not knowing how Dragon Slayers worked. That's one of those things, like when people don't know the mechanics of like fights and battles and then they don't understand how it works. It's where more I get a problem when people complain about stuff. Because if they just don't like something, it's like whatever. But it's like if they don't like it because they misunderstood what happened because they didn't pay attention, it bothers me. I definitely had to give Quan a disappointed decision for that one. Let's see what else. Gaja versus Madmal is more interesting. I mean, Gaja versus Madmal would be interesting. I think it would be a fun fight. But I really can only see Madmal versus Gaja if like Gaja was gonna run over him, because then who's gonna fight one of the other Black Dragon Slayer Knights? And Mishima already showed in Drasil that Gaja isn't like that much weaker than Natsu. He just doesn't have the same. He doesn't have the same forms. He doesn't have a Fire Dragon King mode, and he doesn't have a Dragon Force. Because the way that Natsu fights is his forms just like use up a level of his magic at a different rate by giving a power up to his abilities. When he fought Gajo, both of them just use hybrid modes, and Natsu was able to win by a chunk. Gajo just doesn't have those upper forms that like consume magic way faster, but make you way more powerful. If Gajo could get Dragon Force, he could fight one of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. It would probably be a really hard fight for him, but I think he would be able to potentially beat one of them. But it's going to depend on what Mishima does. I've been saying for a while that the thing about Selene is she could take any character and put them into this match. And I'm still hoping Jalal shows up somehow, but Selene would have to make some decision to extend outside of like the 7 versus 7. The only way I can see it is I had the theory that at some point she's going to call more of her kids, and then maybe she'll call more Fairy Tail members over to kind of like join up, and maybe by then Jalal will be a member. I might do a video on that, because Mishima did say that Sting and Rogue would show up at some point, and I think Sting and Rogue showing up in this arc would make a lot of sense. That might be a video, actually. It might be a video. I might write that down. I think that'd be a fun kind of crazy theory. You think the criticism on Selene is justified? I don't really know what there is to criticize. Selene's been a very competent villain so far. After recent chapters, the whole idea of Suzaku joining the Natsu gang has really gone down the toilet. I mean, it's going to depend on what happens with Diabolos after this. Because clearly Suzaku cares about his guild. But the question is he going to, want to fix his guild? Or is he going to want to, join a guild that actually, has, a better mentality? Wendy might end up against Misaki while Axis takes on Kieran. If Wendy takes on Misaki, that'll be really crazy. Mishima will boost. Wendy will climb the ladder so fast. And logically, Wendy is a Dragon Slayer. But it's Wendy is a Dragon Slayer around Lucy's level. If Wendy fights Misaki, she's going to skyrocket. She'd be stronger than Gray. If you give Wendy a way harder fight than Gray, that would be kind of strange. I would rather kind of Gray have one of them then. But I feel like Gray versus Scoleon is the logical choice. Gray and Scoleon are those kind of guys between the rank of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights and the lower people in Diabolos. It's the same way with how the Fairy Tail groups are currently structured. Because Wendy and Lucy are definitely Spriggan level now off their feats, but it doesn't mean they're way up there, because there's a big gap between the bottom and the top of that tier. Urza versus Misaki. I can see Urza versus Misaki. That's a potential one, or maybe Urza. If Urza goes against Suzaku, though, I don't see her winning as the thing. I would rather Laxus versus Suzaku, and then maybe Urza versus Misaki. I think that'd be probably a cooler match. Because I feel if Mishima had Laxus lose, but after a really sick fight, it would hype up Suzaku even more. Not from a power level standpoint, but one, it would hype up. It would give a lot of feats to show how much more powerful Axis is, and it would build hype around Suzaku. Because I feel if Mishima is gonna do it in a way that once a character loses, they're eliminated out of the game, Selene teleports them somewhere else. Out of all of the members of Diabolos that would last longest is Suzaku. Mishima is giving Suzaku a lot more spotlight than any of the other members of Diabolos, and he clearly has a whole story arc piece going into this. Dante learned to clean the floor right now. Yeah, I'm a little sad about Dante. I still have a little bit of hope for him, but Tabata is very clear on that Dante is not a big threat anymore. At least currently. Maybe he'll do something with him. I don't know. It's what it is. Luckily, he put Morris in there, and I really like Morris too. Winston Urza would spam her armors in a fight against Ozma. She still switches between armors. Look at the fight with Laxus. The problem is we haven't had a big Urza fight since Laxus, because Yoko wasn't that crazy for her. I mean, Yoko, she was able to pretty much overcome just based off of sword technique and speed and strength alone. She was just able to topple her. Whereas, like with Laxus, she had to pull out all of her stops and do everything, and pretty much use everything she could in order to potentially beat him. But that'll be different in the next fight. I just think it's the gap of time really when you think about it, because Urza versus Laxus was like what, like 2 years ago or something, or like a year ago, year and a half ago. It's definitely feels like a while, but it's realistically it's back in the Laxus fight. Well, situation the six dragons very confusing. Hoping more information on them later. Well, no. So if it was 100 years, if it was before Dogrima died, it would be the six dragon gods. But because he died, he started calling them the five dragon gods. He's just counting down as they're defeated. But the problem is the other five couldn't be defeated until recently. Do I play or follow any sports? I used to in high school. I don't anymore. Only singing Rogue even one Dragon Slayer Lacrima. It's like a cheap power up. Because you gotta think about like the Lacrima. Laxus didn't intend to have it. His dad forced it in his body because Laxus was originally pretty weak, and his dad put a Lacrima inside of him. With Cobra just wanted to get Dragon Slaying magic. Sting and Rogue were just trying to get more powerful. The Lacrima is like a expensive. It's like the pay to win kind of like in game store version of Dragon Slaying magic. It's like super expensive, but you can obtain it through money, because that's why that's why Ivan wanted to get Laxus into his guild. He wanted to take the Lacrima out of his body and sell it, and then somebody could literally just buy their way into being a Dragon Slayer. That would suck. Could you imagine if you spent whatever, like the equivalent of millions of dollars, and you became a Dragon Slayer, and like what if you did it as like a really rich guy just doing it for a hobby? You're not even intending to fight, and then one day Acnologia just shows up and murders you. He just completely shows up, says, "Oh, here's a dragon," and just murks you right there on the spot, just because you have like a sliver of dragon DNA in your body. How strong the dragon gods can destroy? Selene is absolutely planetary. The thing is, like, Selene affected the moon and enlarged it to the point it was bigger than Earth, and then messed with the planet in a completely separate dimension, a planet that's multiple times Earth size. And this was human Selene. Like, it's crazy to think that was just her weaker form, and not that like her weaker form just had lower durability. It's like, no, she just wasn't as powerful as like she actually is. But Suzaku is at that power level. Urza hasn't really been that overpowered in a long time. It really depends on where you're at, because Urza early on in the story, all the way up to Sirius Island, Urza was way more powerful than the main cast, and she fought the hardest opponents. Relatively outside of like in cases like when Natsu would get Dragon Force. But then Natsu started to kind of catch up in Sirius Island and Avatar, or not Sirius Island, Grand Magic Games, Tartaros, and then we saw in Avatar, Urza knew that Natsu was stronger when Natsu beat Ikusa Tsunaki with little to no effort. Let me see. Acnologia can wreck the dragon. Well, Acnologia has an ability advantage over them. He just has the fact that as a magic dragon, he can just eat magic and then regain magic and stamina and make him more powerful. He's just gonna keep going. Is it wrong to stalk someone? Yeah, don't stalk somebody. That's very illegal. Don't do it. Josuke was just kidding, Nevs. Josuke just likes to troll me sometimes. It's not a big deal. I know he's just messing around. Acnologia would beat any of them 1v1. That's what I was saying. I think personally he was looking for them, and that's why I would see him kind of just walking around at the end of Dragon Cry. But I said that's just a theory. But I don't think he could take any of them all. I don't think he could take them all at once, but any of them 1v1. My general videos, it's from the Fairy Tail game. Smart Gears theme. I see Lucy fight a dragon here and lose instead of seeing her as a comic relief next to Natsu. Well, Lucy's in a fight right now where she has no hope of winning. She can't fight Haku. That's not fair. She's up against somebody. This is like with God Serena and Logia. It's not God Serena's fault. This is a person just drastically higher than them. This would be like this, or the Erasion Saints going up against August. They're up against somebody that just outclasses them immensely, and it's not fair. You can't count a character getting dunked on by somebody who logically and consistently is a multiple tiers above them. If this was Lucy versus Kyria or somebody at Lucy's level, yeah, but definitely not with Haku. Like if Lucy got clapped by Suzaku, would really is that a big deal? It's like no, that logically would be the case of how it would happen. Where's some more stuff? Yeah, don't stalk people. Definitely don't stalk people. So don't know how Urza knocked Acnologue in the sky. I mean, she just knocked him down. She essentially blindsided him, and all it did was push him out because he wasn't paying attention. I didn't do any damage. That's like when they hit him with the ship. He just wasn't braced for it. He wasn't expecting it at all, and it caught him by surprise. You can catch a character by surprise. It's like when remember when Krillin threw a rock at Goku? He wasn't poised up at all. He wasn't ready for anything. He was just relaxed and completely fine, and then just hit by a rock and it hurt him. Where obviously, like you throw a rock at like actual Super Saiyan, Goku's just gonna break on its face. Wendy's stronger than Lucy. Yeah, Wendy should be stronger than Lucy still. I would guess. To me, they're about the same level. It's just the difference of their fighting abilities. As far as I'm concerned, Wendy's already above. Yeah, she's not above Gray. Lucy's not. You could argue Lucy definitely not above Gray. Absolutely not above Gray. I just want to see Lucy in a serious fight. Yeah, that's why she can fight Kyria. What would be really interesting is like if she fought Kyria and then used Gemini dress and copied her blade dragon slaying magic. I would love to see that. I'm hoping Mishima does something like that. Because she can copy it as long as they have equal to or less magic than her. And Lucy may not be like, she may not be as flashy as Brandish, but she factually has a very high raw magic amount. It's just never really talked about, but it's like she's a summoner like Nineheart, but she has Spriggan levels of magic capability or magical power. So she should have a huge pool, and there's like a lot of points in the story that demonstrates it. You want to see Lucy completely dominate? I don't think that'd be as entertaining. It would have to be set up in a way that it's like like an emphasized Lucy stomp. But I feel like Lucy in a really good fight would just be better for for everybody. If Lucy was gonna get in a match where she stomps, it would have to be against another summoner or like another caster. Against a Dragon Slayer, I don't think it would really have the same level of kind of hype to it, because it would completely null out like what a Dragon Slayer brings to the table and like what a Dragon Slayer does, and it would dehype a Dragon Slayer a lot too. Was that somebody Irene? Look, I'm not that far down. Here we go. They're going to get the music from the music of YouTube. No, this is the music from my chapter reviews are usually the Margear theme from the video game. You'll be see Fairy Law to take down Karen. He might. Again, that's going to depend on the fight, because Fairy Law only works on somebody who truly sees an enemy. But that could actually be like a big win in this match, or at least a big factor, because if he sees all of Diabolos as an enemy, he could potentially attack all the Diabolos members at once. The problem is, would Laxus want to use Fairy Law? Like it would be a really weird thing for Mishima to do right now, unless he has some kind of buff version or something new he wants to do with it. If it's just going to attack some of the members of Diabolos, I don't know. Can Aaron separate a dragon locker from a dragon star? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, there should be no problem with that. In high school, I played like baseball and wrestling. We about to accept that Quan credible and I write about Prime, Zelda's collapsers. She just dispels him. She Nakagami just cuts him in half. Zeldris is like what, like small country level, or is this like multi-continental? Way faster. Destroys the labyrinth. Have nice wall despite his dragon quartz. It withstanded attacks from Natsu. Natsu tried to break the walls and it didn't work. The walls are actually durable. It should be as durable, I would assume, as like a dragon god. It must have Dogromag's durability. Do you think Suzaku's as strong as Selene? I mean, we already got confirmation that Selene's human form, yes. Selene's dragon form, no. Because Georg is stronger than Suzaku. And she one-shot him. Hope for Laxus to use Fairy Law. I kind of like the idea of it, but like Mishima would have to set it up really well. I don't think it would be. I don't think it would work the same if he just used Fairy Law, because Fairy Law is like a very, like, it's a big event of a spell. Oh, just the wall design. Yeah, the wall's pretty nice. I think girl's using her anorexia armor against Irene wasn't even canon. Oh, not anorexia. It's like atraxia or whatever. I mean, that armor, I don't really get that armor. It's just, it feels like just a different sword version of her Tenrin armor. There's nothing really that kind of crazy about it. To read Fire Force, I'm a couple chapters behind. I gotta reread some stuff too. I haven't read some of the parts in a while. I'm forgetting areas. Hmm. Urza should try on the seduction armor on Selene. That's not gonna do anything. Their Dragon God was the weakest when the other's power literally came from Earth, except Selene. I would assume that like it could absorb magic in the Earth, but I mean that doesn't mean it's gonna be stronger than the other characters. Like you don't just get automatically strong for your Dragon Slayer attribute, I would assume. I assume at least. I don't know. And I just want to read the chapter and talk about it. And I have a bunch of video ideas I really want to do. Like I'm gonna do I'm gonna do some videos soon on Dragon Slayers. I'm gonna try and do like a video that talks about like the entirety of Dragon Slaying magic. It just talks about like all the different generations, how it works, kind of that kind of the aspects of it, the consequences of it, and weaknesses and everything. Talk about like I said, talk about the generations. And yeah, I was thinking just maybe like some big documentary almost piece on like Dragon Slayers. I think Arthur and Fire Force could be anyone Fairy Tail. I mean, he can definitely beat a lot of people. Once we get to like Suzaku, Selene, or anybody like Black Dragon Slayer Knight people, I don't really see, because Selene kind of upped the ante with her feats like going into that fight, and the fact Suzaku beat her is pretty crazy. But the way that Arthur works, he's like Rill. He has to like be in a specific setting of it for his character to really get to that planet cutting power. No, Margear's cool. Why wouldn't you like Margear? Like to see a massive war breaking out the 100 Years Quest. There would have to be some form of big dragon event, I feel. The Kyrie versus Lucy assumption of her being able to copy Kyrie's magic finds Marin Hollow back in Alvarez, where he was hacked, but later on he was at the same magic level of Lucy. I mean, yeah, he's not that strong. It's well compared to like the Spriggan. The thing is like he specifically counters spatial users. That's his magic's primary thing. even if they're stronger, because there's no way that Marin was as strong as Urza, and he was a Spriggan minion. I know Irene hit her smell from Actologia. I'm fully aware of that. Dorothy getting beaten off screen. I mean, yeah, but I don't think it's that bad. I mean, she had an opponent that she couldn't beat 1v1. But Imara's way above Arthur. Is he? I don't know about now. Well, at least like that super Arthur. I feel like that Arthur could beat Benimaru, but that's just me. And Celine throws the moons at the planet. That would be pretty insane. I really want to see what Mishima does with her, like Sirius, and what exactly he's gonna do to top what she did before, like when she was in her human form fighting Suzaku. He's got to have something crazy planned out that she's gonna do, like some form of weird spells, giant attacks. Celine's gonna be like, cause out of all the Dragon Gods too, Celine's the only one with like a really weird attribute. Like, look at the other ones: water, earth, wood, fire. She's moon, and she can like go around into other dimensions. Like, she's like the dragon eater attribute of the dragon gods, and very well fitting for her to ended up having taken over Diabolos because of that. Like, her spatial magic in this chapter 2 is really cool. Where she says nope, starts teleporting people around. Marin claps Xenon. Oh no, because then Xenon can just stab him. Xenon at that point should just be able to stab him. Like, just being able to cut off his spatial magic doesn't really mean that he's going to beat Xenon. Because, like, we saw Marin Hollow actually fight. He just has punches. He can just teleport and punch you, and he doesn't have, like, that much he can really do with his punches. Urza needs some battle scars. All her scars are emotional. Did I read the new Fire Force? I haven't read the new one yet. When the Black Bulls... Oh, wait, which Black Bulls are you excited to see in the fight against Morris? The ones that are there, I'm not really too hyped about anybody that's there. I don't mean that negative way. I just don't... There's nothing that they can really do, I think, that would get me that excited. And I'm not... I like all the Black Bulls, but, like, some of them I'm not as hyped. Maybe Henry. Maybe if Henry does something cool. Waiting for Zora to show up. Waiting for Zora to show up and start doing stuff. Or 285. Yeah, I haven't read the last couple chapters. Prime Soul King versus Fairy Tail. I mean, I think Fairy Heart Zeref should be able to beat him. Zeref, like, that Zeref is so busted. He can just absorb infinite energies and concepts out of people. I think he would win. And he could do things that the Soul King couldn't do, like go back in time. The thing about, like, the Soul King's general power, not even talking about his raw power level and stuff, with his hands, one's stagnance, one is the hand of stillness, and one is the hand of progress. None of his abilities will let him do anything back in time. That's why Yuhabak can only affect futures, but he can't affect the past. Whereas my boy Zerf's got even better. Lucia versus Marileona. People aren't ready for that conversation. After her Mimi fight, Lucy should be able to beat her easy. Lucy's got raw better stats off scaling. She's a Spriggan level character. And she's shown that she knows how to fight hand-to-hand combat characters. It's just one of those things. Like, Lucy's actually a very capable person. Soul King is multiversal. I mean, if you want to go that way, like, Zeref was going to reset timelines from the concept of their universe, meaning all alternate realities of time he was affecting. Because he's not targeting, he's not time traveling, he's resetting time itself. So the time in their universe, 400 years, is undone entirely. So all timelines set within the last 400 years erased, gone. Leopold Verzingis, that's goofy. Aizen versus Scully and Madmal and Kyria. I mean, he pretty much. Wait, is it which version Aizen? Because like their only way of really doing anything. I mean, they can't really fight current Aizen because he's immortal. Just keep coming back. Whereas like maybe like pre Aizen, they really just don't have to get if they don't get caught and kill Kitsuigetsu, they just beat him. But after you get the Hokyoku, he's pretty much immortal. You have to have a hack to be able to kill an immortal character really to do anything to Aizen at that point. If Zeref goes back in time, doesn't he destroy his current self as well? Oh, he's resetting time. So everything that happened forward of the point that he reset is gone. It's erased. It's erased from time. He's the only one that that is aware of this. Oh, Kinmano, thank you for the $50 super chat. He says, hey, Rax is very tolerate someone who refuses to do what they're told, even if their person ordering around is wrong, but also peaceful. I mean, they wouldn't have a problem with somebody who's just defiant. Somebody who's just kind of like a hard to work with asshole, I don't think they'd have a problem with whatsoever. But it's also peaceful, not bothering them, but also straight up playing all business. Serious. Yeah, they'd be fine with that. There's no problem with that. Like, Laxus made it very clear, like, the thing that is where you start becoming a problem is if whatever, like, if you start bringing danger to the guild, and it's in the way that, like, Toko was doing potentially. Not like in how just Natsu and Urza exist and Alvarez isn't a thing. Yeah, but thank you very much for the $50 super chat. Come on, smartest character in Fairy Tail. Probably Mavis, Wall, Levy's definitely up there. Zeref, obviously, in terms of magic. But Zeref didn't do it. Do it though, unlike Soul King, who did create all 3 bleach drums. No, so here's the thing: Zeref did do it. Zeref turned the door to the guild into the Neo Eclipse. All he had to do was walk through, and it's done. He didn't walk through because he went back to fight Natsu. He already did it. The thing is, he just didn't fully. He set up the thing. He pretty much did everything except walk through the door. If he walked through the door, that would have been it. It wasn't like he still had power he had to build up. Simple Langers. Why are you hating on Finral? Finral's cool. I never saw anyone who would dislike Finral. Zeref would lose Fairy Heart, but it's like Zeref doesn't have to do 400 years. If you say put Zeref against Yuha Bak, like what is it? Like God's Soul King Yuha Bak, Zeref could just go back in time before he gets it and like kill bedridden Yuha Bak as just regular Zeref. Think about it like this: Zeref could, within a span of 400 years, Zeref could pick a version of himself, go back to that version, and have all knowledge. Think about it kind of like that. And then everything that happened beyond that point is undone. No alternate timelines, no nothing. And Zeref was able to absorb infinite magic and control concepts. And he could rip powers out of people's body. Ignia versus Yamamoto. So here's the thing. Somebody presented this piece of evidence to me that I can't refute it. I'll put it on screen, actually. I saved it because I was like, I when people try and do anything kind of crazy, like with power scaling stuff, if I don't agree with it, I kind of just don't, I don't really kind of like, I just don't really go with it. And I kind of try and ignore it, or I'll try and like call it out if I think it's wrong. There's one that someone showed me that I can't really argue. And I have to show you if it in context to Yamamoto versus Ignia before I even talk about that. Let me see where it is. Let me go to this folder. Some people aren't going to really like the answer, but I feel like legitimately you have to take this into account. Let me see it. I put this, I know I said, here it is. So I think it was Jason on Twitter, he showed this. There's a part where Invil is saying that only Natsu could melt his ice, but Wall, because of his magic confinement fusion and oven or whatever it was called, would be at a temperature of 200 million degrees. because it is literally a magnetic confinement fusion thing. Well, whatever it exactly is. Where does it say? A magnetic confinement fusion. It's the process of that of doing like fusion energy. The only difference is instead of magnetism, it uses magic. So Natsu's fire is above this, which logically inverts the way that Natsu's being depicted he is. He has the highest like heat feats. So Natsu then would be 200 million degrees, which is more than Yamamoto's. I actually like I saw this and I can't really argue this. Like this is actually a really good point and it makes sense. There's like a number that it's like some crazy like 100 million degrees Kelvin or something. I have to look back. I think it's way more than that, like 100 million trillion degrees or some shit. Where if you get to the point with temperature, you start kind of like getting rid of the laws of physics, and you're able to affect time. Which Natsu has done heat feats that don't make sense physically or don't make sense with the laws of physics. Being able to melt wood and melt clothing, and he's burnt time. So it actually makes a lot of sense. It's really weird, but at the same time, it's like if it makes sense and we have evidence for it, it is what it is. So Ignia logically, I think, would stomp Yamamoto. I think Ignia would run over him. Yeah, so Zerf would also lose Fireheart. Yeah, I can already answer that. Oh, but I just didn't have all of Soul King. Yeah, no, he had all of them. Oh, he didn't end the like that part of the world, but like Zeref can take people's powers. You forget Fairy Art was Mavis's ability, and he pulled it out of her body and took it. He took somebody's ability. He has kind of like Yuha Block has that with just his shrifts and the way that his power works specifically in Quincy's. Zeref can do that to anybody. He can Auschwallen anybody. Urza Nakagami versus God Soul. That's a weird argument. I feel like she would be able to cut it because God Soul at the end of the day is a type of magic. It's not like she is actually a god. She is a god buffed because with god slaying magic, like if it's the same as devil slaying and dragon slaying, your body would be altered that way. Whereas takeover, it's temporarily. There are remnants in it, as we've seen with Mira Jane and the whole stuff with devil particles, but it's not the same as like how Slayer magic works. It's a way more temporary kind of method. Strongest version of Sasuke that Wendy can beat. I don't know. I have to re-gauge Naruto power levels to be perfectly honest. Risha's still better waifu than Becky Blueguard. Why are you hating? What's up, Naruto 78961? What's the conversation around? We're just kind of talking. Usually, I don't know if you've been to my streams where usually we just kind of talk about stuff. There's no general theme. It's mostly just kind of conversation. If you have any questions you want to ask, just go ahead, kind of thing. Against fire, burn Natsu is way above the sun. I personally think that was Natsu's fire going Savage Dragon fire heat scene, because the only time we've ever seen Natsu's fire burn himself is when he burnt time. Do you think about making a video about Dragon Slayer explaining differences between generations? Yeah, that's essentially what I'm going to do, but I'm going to go a little bit more on it. And there's also a video I'm going to do on, like, to pretty much say, stop putting people with the same attributes against Dragon Slayers, and here's why. Or Slayers in general. One second. Got a little pop-up thing. Oh, what's up, Jared Punch? How you doing? If Zeref couldn't take, if Zeref could have taken Mavis power all along, why he's already? Oh, he thought of everything as a game. He was trying to have fun. That's why he didn't like. If Zeref really wanted to, he could have stopped time, teleported in, taken Mavis, and left. But he was making a spectacle out of it. He essentially was playing a game of civilization. That's how he depicted it in his mind when he was telling about Mavis about it. It was like a strategy game. Adult Torosho versus Mercephobia. Mercephobia bodies the hell out of him. Stop. Stars and Stripes is the strongest quirk. Oh, she's got like the best quirk in the whole series. Screw, like, dude, screw, all for one. It like makes you eventually die, whereas her quirk is so much better and so much more versatile. You know, would get destroyed by Wendy. Yes, he would. What do you think Ignia arc gonna be like? I think Ignia's arc is gonna be brutal. I imagine kind of like if you think about the Tartarus arc being like a dark arc with like the, but in the idea of it's like a despair, and like just like the think about like the anime, the theme it's at night. But think about that, but instead it's like burning and fire. It's like a hellscape kind of thing. That's what I'm hoping at least. I want it to be a very aggressive arc. Like I want it to just be like the hammer is constantly hitting onto the main cast. Or kind of like how Sirius Island felt, where it's like it every time you thought that like the fairy tale group was getting ahead of Grimoire Heart, like things were just getting worse for them. And even at the end when they thought they won in the arc, Acnologia shows up. I'm hoping that's what Ignia's arc is like. It's just a onslaught of problems for the whole main cast. Let's see. Is there anything else? I'm probably in the stream soon. Really gonna miss Mitch? Yeah, I'll miss Mitch too. I wish Mishima did more stuff with her though. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna end it here. You guys have a good one. I'll talk to you more on Saturday. Well, no, there's no stream Saturday. I'm gonna probably reschedule it for Monday, and then we'll just do a stream and I'll play Half Life and we'll just kind of like talk for a while there. What you know? Could use Star Magic. You know, Star Magic isn't strong enough to beat Wendy. Wendy fought alongside people like Laxus and Natsu Gaji like it's Actologia. What is Yuno gonna do? Would you say is better, All For and Gravity Drain? Gravity Drain just seems better.